Your thoughts, feelings, and actions should all be geared toward achieving useful goals, stimulating your mind, and keeping a confidence based on knowledge. A quiet calm that is hidden from view. In the middle of a busy city, a single choice made by Marcus Aurelius sounds from more than 2,000 years ago. How Stoic thought has changed everything on our lives now. This old knowledge teaches us not just to get through life's storms, but to welcome them. Knowing they make us better, stone-shaped by the wind, stillness isn't just about dealing with problems, it has to do with turn them into strength. Today, we look in more depth at how following Stoic ideals can change the way you do things every day, taking what we usually ignore and as everyday struggles into strong lessons in strength and focus. Join me as we look around how these tried and true methods can help you live a more meaningful life and important life. If you like this tour into Stoicism, very appealing, make sure you sign up and see the whole movie as someone who stands out from the rest. Think of yourself as an exception. This video was made with your own unique point of view in mind. Why being lazy isn't what you think it is. A lot of the time, we call ourselves lazy. Pretty much naturally in this title, whether you believe it or not, doesn't just mean nothing self-talk. It's a prediction that comes true. Stoicism is a way of thinking that has its roots in being in charge of yourself. Through logic and reason, shows us a different way. Marcus Aurelius and other Stoics thought that we don't have to follow what we first thought or reactions to feelings instead. They pushed the idea of stopping and questioning what we think right now, telling us to look past them in terms of our ability for logical and good behavior. Here's the catch. Say you're lazy. You're basically just taking part in a story that you have made. Using what we know from the past labels and social ones, though what Stoicism says that is pretty revolutionary. Laziness isn't something that is fundamentally wrong with us. Instead, a wrong idea of laziness often comes from our unexplored ways of living or feelings that aren't controlled, as an example. If it's tough for you to get up and work out every day, is it really being lazy? Or could it be a lack of driving force driven by not dealt with fears or getting your goals mixed up with what you really want? And taking a Stoic stance, you start to think of these names as outside of you, not a part of your personality. This change is important because it changes you from where you judge yourself by becoming more self-aware. It makes you want to ask, what's wrong with me? Instead of giving up, you should. This is how I am. The point of this investigation is not to find reasons, but about finding the real problems that you can then approach in a sensible way and in a planned way, so the next time you feel like getting into the "I'm just being lazy." Now is the time to bring out your inner calm. Think about what Marcus Aurelius would do. I think he would say that you look at the assumption, look into its history, and decide if it's true. He would tell you that what you do makes you who you are, not your quick feelings or thoughts, and while you do this, what you used to call laziness will turn out to be something else. There could be a complicated web of problems that are not only easy to understand, but easy to reach. Talking to them doesn't just bust the idea that you're lazy, because it changes how you see yourself. And what you can do, putting you on a path to real self-improvement and smart behavior. Finding out more about what makes people lazy, figuring out why we repeat patterns of being lazy, can teach you something, and Stoicism gives us a strong view of things. To look into these deeper problems, the Stoic thinkers, such as Seneca and Epictetus, taught that the way we act in public come from our own ideas and decisions. That's why, when we act lazy, it's important to take off the clothes and look at the mental foundations that make people act this way. Being lazy is more than just not doing anything. It's often a sign of bigger problems, like fear, not feeling safe, or even are not lining up with our goals and who we really are. For example, think of someone who puts things off on beginning a new task. At first glance, it might look like being lazy, but if you look deeper, it could be fear of failing, fear of being judged, or even not wanting to do the job. The Stoics would say that every one of these comes from false ideas that can be looked at and fixed because of thought and reason. In quiet thought, figuring out why we do the things we do deals with the practice of assent, seeing that and only agreeing with claims that are true, being thrown out those that aren't true. This is an important practice because it helps us accept life as it is, taking over and start reacting with mind and purpose by asking ourselves about our first responses and the ideas that make them possible. We can begin to see what one of our goals, fear things that aren't true or lost goals on top of that. The Stoics stress how important it is to match our actions, what we believe in. A thought process called living as nature would have it this time around. Nature doesn't just mean the outside world, but to who we really are as social and logical beings. When we know why we're lazy in the first place, we can better line up what we do with who we really are. As an example, if there is a gap between both our job and our love is making us sleepy, understand this can make us want to find more satisfying work or to find value in the job we have now by following the rules of Stoicism. We change how we think about being lazy from a personal flaw to a task to get around. This method not only makes things clear, but also gives us the power to make real changes. We shouldn't feel bad about being lazy, it says, but to break it down and understand it, and finally get past it by thinking about deed and thinking about yourself. Our goal is not to punish ourselves, but about getting free, to take part in the world more fully in a way that shows what we really believe, hopes and dreams. Epictetus and the other Stoics thought that knowing our place in the world would help us, and making sure our acts are in line with what we know is important for living a happy life. It's not enough to just find what we love with this concept, but also about being aware of our duties, how to find your true mission and get in line with it, and our responsibilities to each other when it comes to fighting laziness. Finding your way again, that we need to ask ourselves some tough questions. What should we do? How we're going now genuinely shows what we value most and skills. It's easy to become lazy when something isn't lined up right in between our daily tasks and our bigger goals for life, if we're not interested, or if our work doesn't seem to matter. Stifler gives up because of inertia. The solution would include a serious look at the point of our lives. There won't be any big reveals right away. It's about little consistent thoughts on what makes us live the most and most in tune with our diamond spirit, a thought from Stoicism that means a person's true spirit or God's character. It's about judging our own lives to a level that goes beyond simple wants or what society expects, going deep into what actually helps us in our personal and the health of the community. Imagine what it would be like to wake up every day with a clear goal in mind. What would get rid of the so-called laziness by making your acts match who you really are? Stoicism tells us to pay attention to the things we can change. And while we can't always change what happens, we have power over our plans and actions. Changes in the way of our lives could mean changing jobs or picking up a new hobby, or just changing how we feel to the things we already need to do. In addition to finding our way again, is about embracing the practice of premeditatio by Stoics malorum, or the planning of bad things to happen. To do this, you need to plan ahead about possible problems and getting ready in your mind for them. This will make it less possible that to get thrown off track due to unexpected problems. It's more likely that we'll stay interested and driven, even when things get tough. What do you want to happen in your life? How can lining up your daily deeds help you? In this direction, change how you think about being lazy. These aren't just academic thoughts, but useful questions that, when answered, can turn you from apathetic to passionate, from idle to motivated by setting new goals and making them fit with who we really are. We use the strength of the calm to don't just wish for a better life, but to actually make it happen. Stoicism says that the real importance of our work isn't affected by outside benefits, no honor or fame, but by how well it fits with our values and morals. Marcus Aurelius talked a lot about being good at work and just stressing how important it is to see worth carrying out acts that help everyone and keep one's own principles in the real-world value. Because of your job, you have to look beyond the obvious jobs and figuring out what it all means, what you do every day as an example. If you're a teacher, your work is valuable for more than just when giving lessons, but in making young minds strong and giving the next generation hope. How to find value in your work, the Stoic way. If you work in a business setting, it's not enough to just hit goals, but also encouraging people to work together, adding to the good atmosphere of the workplace, as well as improving your work skills. The Stoic habit of thinking about one's work also very important. Note-taking can help with this, a way that many Stoics believe in, such as Marcus Aurelius, whose works in Meditations serve as a powerful model of self-reflection by writing in a book. You can look into why you have to do what you have to do. What your work means and how it fits into your personal and growth in your career. Writing down the reason you did what you did makes your work more valuable and makes it stick out further into your sense of purpose. In addition, the idea of duty is taught by Stoicism. And working hard and taking care of our work, no matter how ordinary or overused it may seem. This is because each piece of work has the ability to be a way to express yourself and a reflection of who we are when we think about our everyday tasks in this way. It's less about being lazy, did not want to do the work, and more about not wanting to give in on showing our ideals through the things we do. Lastly, respecting your work means noticing and facing the things that hold us back. See our work as not important or very tiring. Stoicism gives us the right frame of mind to call these problems into question. Are they really walls? Or do they present tasks that we are to meet? By rethinking the things that are getting in our way, we can turn our work into chances. Thanks for showing strength, ability to adapt, and virtue. To really value your work, you need to know what it does, not only in the course of your daily life, but in a bigger way, what your moral and ethical system looks like. It means seeing each job as a chance to do something great. To be stoic is to act with a reason, follow your beliefs, and find value in everyday things. With this change in view, can effectively fight thoughts of laziness because it links every deed to a bigger picture, a special cause worth fighting for. This idea is based on a real-life exchange. Taking breaks and working at the same time, not to give in to being lazy, but to plan how to use it as a way to get people to do things. Stoicism, which is based on discipline and self-control, provides a strong structure for understanding and putting this exchange into action in a way that makes us both more productive. And our health-smart people like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius often talk about how important of set plans and routines when used in everyday life, that a clear way of doing things can help you think more clearly and happiness for yourself. They pushed for a life that has a mix of action, thinking about it, that fits well with the trade for lazy work. In this case, downtime isn't just a chance to rest, finding a good balance between work and rest, but about thinking about what we did. We are learning from them and getting ready in your mind for the next tasks by including times when you're lazy or taking a break from work we follow the Stoic ideal of moderation. Always keep things in check. It's important not to swing too far. Toward never-ending work or full rest, to find a balance that works for everyone, that keeps us interested and at ease. This method doesn't just help us get more done, it fits in with the Stoic practice of being aware as well, where all actions take place, being fully aware and thought about what its mission is. Besides, the lazy work exchange makes us want to see relaxation as a prize that was due. Not as much time lost with this shift in view can change our emotions in big ways and how people feel about their jobs when you've earned some rest. It becomes a part of the cycle of getting things done. In place of a break this way reflects the Stoic idea of cause and effect, where everything. It makes sense that work leads to rest. And each break time helps people be more productive in the future when the lazy work swap is put into place. It is important to be clear, each work time with goals that can be reached. Another Stoic habit. In this way, you achieve a number of small successes. Each one gives you a sense of achievement. And drive, for instance, once a 2-hour focused work time was over 30-minute break to do something fun, not only clears the mind, but also makes the value stronger, the work that was done. This approach works especially well. In fighting, putting things off a kind of being lazy, often driven by fear or stress, by splitting up the work into manager blue groups when paired with satisfying stops. The jobs don't seem as hard, and the mind is trained to take part instead of pulling back the exchange for lazy work. When looked at from a Stoic point of view, is about creating a way of life that respects both of our need to get things done and the need to rest. It has to do with understanding that our energy, time, and attention are limited things that need to be handled well. Stoicism is at the heart of this method. We can change what might look like laziness at first into a careful, thoughtful strategy that makes us more successful and makes our lives better on the path to getting over being lazy. Changing the measurement is more than just making notes of changes, but about getting it and being glad for the progress made. Stoicism gives an interesting look at this process, stressing how important it is to be self-aware and honest. Self-evaluation. The Stoic thinkers, especially Epictetus, stress how important it is to keeping track of our own growth and the changes we've made to our character at least as much as our successes outside of work. Stoics believe that the real change happens inside of people. It has to do with how well what we do can match up with what we believe in. This internal alignment of ideals and keeping track of your growth and enjoying it is what really changes how people act, like getting over being lazy. That's why when we measure our change, we're not just looking at how many chores that we've finished or how many targets we've met instead. We look at how the things we've done show how much we've in good traits like discipline, persistence, and strength. Putting this Stoic attitude into practice requires regular thoughts on oneself, which can be done with skills writing in a book or quiet thought. Practices that make us think help us see not just what we did, but how we've changed along the way as an example. Maybe you've been able to get up an hour earlier for a week. This shows a change in habit as well. It also means you have more self-control and a promise to reach personal goals representing the Stoic values of proper behavior and moderation. Besides, this thought process should include recognizing and being aware of the failures also. Stoicism teaches us that failures are more than just problems, opportunities to learn, though, and more growth. When we come across a day where being lazy wins our plan to act, rather than seeing it as a fail, we can figure out what went wrong and fix it, and how we could better deal with cases like these. In the future, this stiff attitude changes every case of laziness into a lesson on how to be more self-disciplined and mental strength. In addition, Stoics say that small wins should be celebrated. Along the way, the parties being held here aren't expensive, but should be acknowledged that make good behavior more likely and changes in thinking. For example, enjoying a week of to-do lists that have been crossed off can make planning more valuable and managing your time. Stoic ideas can be used in real life. Using the Stoic way of judging change could have setting clear guidelines for what success looks like in getting over being lazy. These parts should be linked. How self-compassion can help you stop being lazy to measures of more than just numbers, like how many jobs were finished, but also to measures of quality, like feeling more satisfied with life or lower amounts of stress. Being aware of these changes helps make the Stoic practice of being steady stronger. Getting better at yourself and keeping a clear head, a fair look at one's progress. Stoicism is often misunderstood as a way of thinking about hiding feelings, actually has a long history of pushing self. Kindness and understanding. The Stoics, who included famous people like Marcus Aurelius, think that being hard on yourself does not always lead to better outcomes, but that kindness and understanding could encourage a way that will last longer to getting better personally. This calm way of looking at yourself. Being kind doesn't mean giving in to every desire, or exempting being lazy, but about becoming aware of our flaws and limits as people. When we give up on trying to be less lazy, maybe giving in to putting things off or getting distracted, it's easy to keep criticizing yourself over and over again. See you soon. Those things can be discouraging instead. Stoics teach us to look at ourselves, not with hard judgment, so that we can slowly get back on track, as an example. If you discover that you didn't meet your work goals. Things I want to do today instead of being hard on yourself. Take a moment to calmly think about what happened. What happened in that case? That caused this to happen. Did they not plan ahead? Outside distractions, or perhaps you were just not giving yourself enough time to rest? Answering these questions will help. With kindness and ease, you can make changes that are not only useful, not only positive, but also treating yourself with love. It also means recognizing how hard someone works more than just the results. Stoicism says that the good thing is to try, and the goal wasn't always clear in whether the effort succeeds or fails. This point of view helps people become more resilient, as it changes the subject from what we don't manage to do to the worth of our effort, taking notice and praising your attempts to fight. Being lazy keeps people doing good things and states of mind. This makes it more likely that they will become a part of your life. In addition, Stoics have a self-kindness that also includes how we get ready for challenges to come. We need to make sure we have the right tools and the attitude to handle anything that comes our way. Setting goals that are more likely to be reached, splitting up jobs into smaller, easier to handle parts, or just setting aside time to get enough rest and getting well. All of these things are acts of kindness. That takes our abilities into account and what we need in real life, including staunch self-kindness, could look like setting up a nighttime routine where you look over the day's success stories and problems, not to judge, but to understand and make plans. It could mean getting up every morning with a reminder of how valuable and useful you are, not based on how much work you get done, but on your own worth as a sensible and capable person by making people kinder. Bond with ourselves that is more understanding. We improve our ability to deal with and get past problems. Being lazy. This tough kindness isn't a weak choice, but a tool for planning that makes you stronger and more flexible inside good things. Must read for anyone who wants to live a more busy life, a meaningful life, as we come to the end of our trip through Stoicism today. How to beat laziness and other things. Don't forget that each step is a stone. set me on the way to being more aware and living on purpose. Hey there, thanks for coming to Stoic Blog. Also, if you want to learn more into the knowledge of old ideas, don't forget to look at one of the movies told you about on your screen together. Let's keep changing more than just what we do, but how we see life itself.